It's Luke and Naomi.
Good thing we don't have to, wait to fire something at 6 o'clock or something.
I was going to say, it's a good thing we don't have to start on time because I just keep going. Welcome to episode 75. I just keep procrastinating as we start. Hold on, let me get a drink. Let me look up something else. Luke and Naomi on air, featuring Naomi's Under a Rock Reviews, episode 75. We made it to 75 episodes. How about that?
I know. I'm so proud of us.
That's awesome. We are closer to triple digits than we are to the beginning.
That's right.
How about that?
Yeah.
That's pretty good. So I'm Luke Austin. I'm the Luke and Naomi. That's Naomi Lynn.
That's right.
We decided last week. I guess I decided last week that I got to start saying our names.
I would say you decided that.
Felt awkward not doing it.
Okay.
You know, there's some new people. We got to make sure they know. Sure. Just in case you wanted to know the second part of our monikers.
Okay.
All right. There you go. All right. We haven't done much between last show and this show. So not a ton to report on, like crazy.
Which is all right. You know, sometimes you need weeks like that.
It is fine. We are getting ready to make a little pilgrimage. If you're a North Carolina beer fan, Burial Brewing, we're going to Asheville in a couple of weeks. Now, I think Naomi would tell people a different way that we're going to Asheville.
Yeah, I would say that we're going to the zoo in Asheville so we can check out the red pandas there. Or I would mention maybe the hike that we'll go on and see a waterfall. But I'd probably still mention the beer too. Let's be honest.
Yeah. We got to mention that. So looking forward to that. That's really all that's going on.
That's it. Which is okay.
It is fine. It is fine.
Yeah.
We are do you remember when we talked about pets with stupid human names?
Yes.
Or just stupid names in general?
Yeah, like having a dog named, Steve.
I once met a cat named David. No joke. Yeah. That's a real thing. It's my favorite thing to say about like crazy pet names. But there is a actual wacky pet name contest.
Okay.
It is from some insurance company, I believe. Oh, Nationwide Pet Insurance. They have an annual contest to find the wackiest pet names in America.
Okay.
So they just came out with the finalists, which means maybe next episode we have the actual winners and stuff like that. So cat and dog finalists with wacky pet names. Some of these are, well, awesome. I don't know how else to say it. But last year, for just reference, the winners' names were a dog named Doc Pauliday. Instead of Holiday.
That's cute.
Doc Holiday. Yeah, well, you like
it.
Tombstone too, so you know Doc Holiday and all that stuff. And the cat, you're going to love this one. Spicy Beef Burrito.
Nice.
Burrito.
Do you just call it burrito for short? Or do you call it spicy? Yo, spicy.
Beef.
Come on.
I would just call it beef.
Get over here, beef.
And
that's weird.
That would probably involve to cat meat. And
oh, gosh. No.
That's now I have a cat named Cat Meat.
That's gross.
That's ridiculous, isn't it? But that's just how my mind works. Anyway,
yeah.
So those are the winners from last year, Doc Holiday and Spicy Beef Burrito.
I like both of those names. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm a little embarrassed that you do.
Oh,
I was
sorry.
gonna say upset, but no, I don't care. It's a little cringy that you like that.
Oh, yeah. Well, I got a little cringe, you know.
It does.
It's just who I am.
It just doesn't bode well for when we finally get a dog and pets
oh
and
yeah,
stuff like
it's
that,
gonna be a huge fight over the name.
It absolutely is, because I want to go ridiculous too, but in way different directions.
Yeah,
not as punny.
I like the punny.
Not as punny. I know you do. I can't. Anyway. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yep.
A couple of them. Let's see here. The dog category or cat first? Which one do you want to do?
Do the dog ones first.
Do the dog ones first. Boots with the fur.
Nice.
That's one of the finalists. Chug Chug Pickles.
That's weird.
I'm gonna have a hard time with that.
I don't like that. Chug Chug Pickles.
No. Think of everybody you know has a weird, goofy, like baby talk nickname for their pet.
Yeah.
You know they do.
Yes.
So that's why I get laughing too, because I start thinking of like what does the
chuggly.
Like I just
Pickles.
went to cat meat, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like Chug Chug Pickles, chug chug. Like I can't.
Yes.
Chug Chug Pick.
That's so weird. No, it's a terrible name. I don't like that one. It
all
should
right.
not be a finalist.
Now there's another one that is just absurd. This is one animal's name. Ready?
Okay.
Lil Richard Simmons sweating to the oldies. That's the dog's full name. And then it probably has a middle name and then a last name as well.
Yeah. What do you call him for short?
Little Richard Simmons sweating to the oldies. I don't know. Sweaty?
Oh, that's funny. I went for sweat too.
You went right to the sweat?
Yeah, I went for sweat.
Well, because you're not going to go, oh, little Richard Simmons. Maybe.
Simmons?
I would have to. I would have to call him the whole
Simmons?
name.
Oh, where'd you get that name? Oh, let me tell you the full name. Yeah.
Can you imagine? And so another good test is the Beethoven test. Because the movie Beethoven, I barely remember any of it except for the part where they're naming the dog and like the whole family puts names into a hat and one of the youngest ones puts like a cuss word down.
Okay.
And I don't think they say what it is, but they're like, I don't think the neighbors would like it if Dad was hollering that name in the morning trying to get the dog to come in.
Oh,
So
can
I
you
think
imagine with that long name?
Little Richard Simmons sweating to the oldies.
Get your butt over here. Yeah.
What do you do when they like run away and lunge at like a neighbor? You know what I mean? The dogs are fun and playful.
Stop, sweaty.
Little Richard Simmons went to the oldie. Come on. It's just absurd.
It is. It is absurd.
Lord Waddles.
Oh, that's weird.
Wad. I don't know why I do the double thing, but I do, and a lot of people do. I
Yeah.
don't care. Wad. little Lord Waddles. No, just Lord Waddles. Lulu the Conqueror.
I don't like that either.
I mean, it's just Lulu basically,
Meh.
but Lulu the Conqueror.
No.
A lot of people with the purebreds and stuff give their animals the royal like titles and stuff.
Okay,
We
yeah.
had a purebred when I was a kid. His name was Sir. It was Sir Champ. But I mean, we just call him Champ.
Yeah.
So that's probably where like Lord Waddles comes in, and
It doesn't make it any better
Lulu
if that's
the
what you're trying
Conqueror.
to do.
I guess not. But
Yeah.
Mr. Pizza Puff.
Interesting.
I don't know where I would go with that one because pizza, puff's a good word you can have some fun with.
Yeah.
Mr. Pizza Puff and Molly from Corporate.
Interesting.
If that one doesn't win, I'm just gonna be upset.
I like that because it's like, hey, I've got a meeting with Molly from corporate, and they're just going out to walk their dog.
I wonder if that's where that came
Probably.
from. Like, some poor overworked person who just doesn't know how to take their own personal time.
Yeah.
Is probably just like, you know what, I'm gonna do this so I can get out of.
Yeah.
Who's Molly from Corporate? HR.
Yeah.
Don't ask. HR. Molly from Corporate. So let's see. There's a couple more of the dogs. Team Bandit Player. No, Team the Bandit Player.
I don't get it.
I don't get it either. Maybe somebody else does. Maybe Team is his first name, Player is his last name, and the Bandit is his middle or nickname.
I don't know. I don't like it though.
Team the Bandit Player. I don't know.
If you have to explain it, it's not funny.
That's right. That's right. A dog they just call the News. That's kind of an awesome name.
Yeah.
And
The news has gotten loose again.
the news has gotten loose. Yes, that's great. The news bit somebody.
Ooh.
Dog whines, like gets whining at the table. Then he's fake news.
That's right.
He's full of, anyway. This is another super long one. If you thought Little Richard Simmons sweating to the oldies had one on it. One Love, Tiny Dancer, Princess Margaret Rose Windsor.
That's stupid.
Like,
I draw the line at the other one.
Get more
'cause that one
pets.
was stupid. Yeah.
Just get more pets if you want that many names.
Yeah.
The cat nominees, Balsamic Vin.
That's where you're going to shorten it too? You don't want to go vinaigrette?
No.
You don't want the whole thing? Oh, maybe it's vinaigrette if it's a girl and vin if it's a guy.
Sure.
Yeah.
I like that. That makes sense. Itty Bitty Kitty Committee.
I did like that one.
You like Meownaise.
Ooh, gross.
Yeah, I don't know. Some people really like mayonnaise, and that's kind of weird to me. Minerva Meowgonagle.
Okay.
It's a Harry Potter thing.
Okay.
And Car Alarm.
Car alarm?
That one should win.
I feel like they probably named the cat that because that cat probably meows excessively and like just loud and
I
obnoxious.
hope not.
And they're like, hey, you sound like a car alarm going off. Oh, that's its name.
That's its name. Then there's Skull Crusher, Steph Purry, Tony Scarface Baloney,
I like that one.
and Samsung Family Hub Refrigerator.
I don't like that one. That's just ridiculous.
I feel like that's a mistake. Like it
Yeah.
accidentally got written down, and that's the cat's name now. They call it Charlie.
Yeah, you know.
Some dumb thing like that. So catch-all division for other animals they have too. tortoise named Mid-Sized Sedan, a lizard named Frosted Mini Wheats, and a guinea pig called Cowpig.
Huh. I don't know how I feel about any of those.
I like
but
the tortoise
okay.
named Mid-Sized Sedan. That one's great.
Interesting.
Also, a pig named Snoop Hoggy Hog.
Okay,
So
that's
those are supposed to be released in a couple of days. Whether they come across my desk or I remember to look for them, we'll find out. Hopefully I will. And because car alarm for cat, that's my choice. And I don't know. The news.
sweating one for the dog.
Richard Simmons sweating to the oldies.
Yeah.
That's just,
Because it stuck out the most to me.
that's just ridiculous. So if you felt like an old curmudgeon when you were listening to a couple of those names, like, come on, man, what are people doing? You know, a little bit. Well, I've got 15 more ways that you might be feeling old right now that I had to share because I just wanted to get your thoughts on a couple of these. Number one, you eat Tums like candy.
I got nothing to say about that one.
I'm going to go through, and if it's me, I'm going to say check. If not, I'm going to be relieved. How about that?
I have a feeling you're going to have a lot of checks over there.
It's
You didn't check the last one.
I don't eat them like candy anymore.
Yeah, but you still eat a lot of Tums. We buy like the Costco giant thing of Tums, okay? Like,
But only like once or twice a year. We don't go through them.
no, not too bad anyways.
So
But there was a point in my life where we didn't need to have Tums. That's the thing.
that's right.
At one point, all of a sudden, it was like, oh my gosh, I get heartburn all the time, and I need to have Tums somewhere in the house.
I just get heartburn looking at food now.
Yeah.
That's how that
But
works.
before, like, it just never happened. You could just, like, pour hot sauce in your mouth, and you'd be fine.
So this is from like BuzzFeed or some junk or Reddit. Somebody asked people to name, more of these. How about you still print your boarding pass just in case, Naomi?
I print everything. I
Naomi's
waste a lot
so
of paper.
afraid of technology.
I'm working on it.
It's getting into
okay?
scary now. Like
I'm working on it. I sat down with myself the other day and had a long, hard talk about, listen.
sometimes you just gotta look yourself in the mirror and say, "Turn on, mirror."
If I continue down this path, I will be like my parents who don't know how to send text messages or send pictures or barely know how to answer a phone because it's a cell phone,
Find a
not
podcast
a
on the internet.
landline. Yes. And I don't want to be like that. So I've got to get with the times.
When e-tickets are a thing for concerts now, right? So
Yeah.
When the first concert we went to here, I got the tickets on my phone, and I could just tell you were so tense.
I was.
Until we scanned them at the door.
I
was
like
all right.
having the paper copies of things.
Yeah, for souvenirs, yes, but to get in
I also
is
like
what you were more
in.
concerned about,
I know,
I believe.
I know.
Yeah. there
Yes. Okay, hang on. Check.
you go. So you snap your fingers when you're trying to remember something.
No, I do not do that.
I don't do that.
No.
As far as I know, and I've started paying attention to, or I'm going to start paying attention to it now. Dang it.
No.
Don't snap your fingers. All right.
No.
You can't, I'm checking this one first because I don't want to hear it. You can't stand or sit without making some sort of noise. I just bellow. And most of the time I don't know why, it's just for fun. I'm not like achy or anything. It's just like, I don't really want to get up,
Yeah, but I have a feeling you've been doing it for so long that you couldn't stop if you tried.
No, it's almost like we were watching Big Bang Theory before we started recording, and Sheldon with his knocking on the door 3 times.
Yeah.
He says to Penny because she did it once. The first time is a joke, but then it starts to become fun.
Yeah.
So that's probably where we're at now. Just like sneezing super loud. How about you use speakerphone for most of your calls?
No.
Just the parents. Like, I'll do that when my parents call because it's like, hey, here you go, speakerphone. Talk to everybody.
Yeah.
But that's it. Like, I'm not walking around at Walmart going, what?
That is true.
How's Ray Ray?
So, no check mark.
No check mark. You judge parents if their kid isn't wearing a jacket. Like, it's April. That kid should have a jacket on.
No, I don't care.
Yeah, I don't either. It's your kid.
Yeah.
You watch the local news every night. Bonus points if you say things like, what's this world coming to?
Oh my gosh, absolutely not. But my parents tell me about themselves watching the news, and they're like, I can't watch the news anymore. I'm like, you say that every time. Just stop watching it
People
then.
have been saying that, like, to the news since I was a kid,
Yes.
in the 80s and
Yes.
probably before that. So thank God we just don't watch the news. You know what I mean? How about you start conversations with strangers in public?
Half a check.
Some of these are a little personal attack feeling for me.
Half a check. We're friendly people.
That's right.
And we can also read the room, though. So most of the time we know when someone's like, oh, I don't want to talk to these weirdos. And then we're like, okay, let's get the hell out of here.
That's right. Let's see. You recently stood outside a store in the morning waiting for it to open.
No, absolutely not.
We ain't getting up, so no. You know exactly where your heating pad is. Both of them.
Well,
I know where both of them are.
Now, that's not getting old. That's just being smart and organized.
Yeah, let's call it self-care.
Yeah.
That's what we'll call it. You leave plastic on things to keep them new. I don't think we do that, right?
I don't think we do that. No.
So we definitely don't do it on purpose.
Except for that picture frame behind you.
Shut up. There's no way there's plastic on that. I know I'm all freaked out. All right. You've recently said, how do you work this dang thing? You just frowned.
Check.
Full on check with that one?
Check. Again, I had a talk with myself. We're working on the technology and all of that kind of stuff. And instead of getting frustrated and going, I'm not doing this, I'm going to figure it out.
Good. Let's see here. You've recently told the server, please give my compliments to the chef.
No, absolutely not. No.
I've been holding back doing that lately. It's like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that.
You don't want to be
We've
that
had
person.
some really good freaking meals.
I know, but you don't want to be that person.
Absolutely not.
No.
I mean, honestly, the dinner that we talk about every now and then on the show, was New Year's. Mm-hmm. That chef has now recently won some national award or something like that.
Yeah. So what does he care about you telling him that
That's right.
he did a good job? Oh, okay.
You cut your juice with water because everything's too sweet these days.
Ooh, no. Nope. No. Don't need to do that.
And finally, I don't think we're getting out of here unscathed. You drive by a nice house and say, that's a nice house.
Check. I'd say half and half. So we're just semi-old.
We do that on purpose sometimes,
Yeah.
Check out some nicer houses than ours.
I'd say we're right about the age that we are. So, fitting.
Yes, the age that we are is what we are. Correct. I'm with you. All right. That was just some fun things. But now I have to make up for last week because I totally spaced and didn't do the recurrent dose of Did You Know?
I know. You completely forgot.
We got done
no
recording.
random facts.
I didn't get... Naomi didn't even bother. We got done recording. She was like, so you just skipping that this week? And I was like, oh! Apparently.
Well, I didn't want to call him out while we're recording
I had
this
it
because
up
I
and ready.
figured there was a reason why he didn't do it.
Yep. Space
and
case.
instead of asking, I'd waited until the end.
So, anyway, it is time for your recurrent dose of Did You Know?
All right.
I got some random facts for episode 75. Did you know it seems like there are countless bubbles in a glass of champagne? And scientists used to estimate that there are at least 15 million in a glass of champagne.
Interesting.
But did you know new research says it's less than you may think, about 1 million.
Oh, okay. It's still a lot.
And if you
Still
want,
more than I thought.
If you want more bubbles for whatever reason, serve it warmer than usual and tilt the flute while pouring.
Okay.
How about that? They're random. I don't know. Did you know Mick Jagger and Keith Richards randomly met each other at a train station in 1961?
No.
Mick was 18, Keith was 17, and they started talking about a blues record that Mick was holding. And that's how we got the Rolling Stones.
That's cool.
Pretty neat, right?
Yeah.
Did you know chlorine was first added to swimming pools in the 1940s because it could kill polio?
Weird.
And then they're like, oh, it makes the water stinky and clear.
And we'll stop with everybody peeing in the pool and people getting sick and
How about
stuff.
that?
Yeah.
Happy accident, I guess. Did you know the deadliest mountain in the world is K2? And the second highest mountain, it is the second highest mountain in the world behind Mount Everest. Only 377 people have successfully climbed it and 91 have died trying.
I just don't get the thrill of trying to climb the tallest mountains that you're probably going to die on.
I guess I could understand wanting to be one of the few who've done it, but it's insane. I don't know.
Yeah.
The mountain climbing thing to me, meh. All right, finally, did you know the term hooker started in the 1820s when hookers would hang out in a part of Manhattan called Corlear's hook.
Huh. All right.
There you go.
That's where hookers came from.
That's where hookers came from. That's where the name hookers came from.
Today I learned.
Because that is not where the oldest profession came from.
Well, no.
Just the name.
Yeah.
I like it.
Hookers.
There you go. That is your recurrent dose of Did You Know? Some random facts for episode 75. And now the Robo Hands.
Robo hands, yep.
I liked this one, except for I kept getting stumped. I was trying to come up with something different than the helicopter or lightsaber. If you haven't heard episode 74, we're talking about if you had a robotic hand that replaced your non-dominant hand, what gadget would you include on it? And, you know, I went big and lightsaber or helicopter.
Yeah.
That would still be pretty awesome, I gotta say. Just
It would be, sure.
why not? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you have any new or different exciting answers?
No, I just like the super grip kind of thing where I could hold on, hang on to things, dangle from somewhere.
You do a lot of
Be
dangling
alright.
out there in the world?
Well, we were talking about mountain climbing, so I might take that up.
There you go. Then you can climb K2 and you'd be fine.
That's right. I'd be fine.
I'm good. I can dangle.
Although, with it being that cold, my metal hand would probably get frozen.
So I couldn't decide, do we go serious with this and try to be an everyday useful item, something that you would use, in everyday life, or have a fantastical, whimsical gadget and stuff like that. That's where I kept getting stumped.
I would get a fly swatter so I could get rid of that fly that's flying around in
There's
here.
one fly in this room. It's over there. I can see it.
It's so fat.
It's
just
dopey and ready to die.
Yeah. It's driving me nuts.
You wanna pause and you can go get the fly swatter?
No, just if I had that robo hand, I would have the ability to have. Can I have a Swiss Army knife kind of deal where I have a fly swatter? I have the super grip strength. I've got
A couple other things in each finger, something like that.
yeah, just handy things that I might need.
It's funny. Dorsey says Swiss Army knife.
Yes, thank you.
So do you mean the hand is just a Swiss Army knife in itself, so it changes to all kinds of different tools?
Yes, my inside the wrist part, out could pop out, a knife there or whatnot. So, everything.
But you just shit all over my Wolverine claws thing. You want a knife popping out from the wrist, but Wolverine claws. I'm an idiot.
I just didn't trust you with them. I trust myself with the knife. You with the Wolverine claws? I don't think so.
How about a web shooter? Brando says he wants a web shooter like Spider-Man. That would be perfectly acceptable for trying to get rid of this fly. Just paste that little thing to the wall, and then you can get it later.
Yep.
You can torture it, pull its legs off.
Oh gosh, that's awful.
This is what you get for dopily flying around my head
Yeah.
as your life is ending. Fly.
Yeah. You're pretty mean over there.
I
Pretty
know.
mean.
Snowman's got a great one. He says tongs.
Of course he does.
And that's where I like the Swiss Army knife, of gadgets. So, you've got the hand and then just kind of reconfigures into whatever you need. You want your tongs, you got a spatula, you can do whatever you need over there.
Again, I feel like everything could be built into the forearm wrist area,
Little beater, egg beater thing or hand mixer deal. Be awesome.
Be handy, yeah.
Just full on. I went full on kitchen gadgets.
But it works.
Some other people are probably wrench, stuff like that. That'd be cool.
More important things.
Yeah, more useful things. Let's see here. Ashley, so when we talked about this last week, I literally was and not a bottle opener or corkscrew. And Ashley's a bottle opener.
Well, that's fitting for him.
Yeah, that's what he said when I scolded him. He said, bartenders, we use, these openers to open your cans. So he I figure that's just use the edge of it and then
have something else.
Have a different gadget. Yeah. How about that? I mean, why not? So let's see here. Plus, there's not a lot of bottles in the Wilmington area. Everybody uses cans around here. So there you go. Leslie says a water fountain. In the robotic hand. So
that's interesting.
Yeah.
And could be very, very handy.
No pun intended.
No, and I've said that 3 times, and I'm just realizing that.
Oh, that's fantastic. Speaking of how you want to go handy puns, how about this? Brian from England sent me, where's my email? He sent me a pun-laden answer for this week. And I'm
here for it.
It reads something along the lines of, He wants a remote control. First of
Okay.
all, television remote control. Just control it with the hand. So I wanted to know, like, do you have to push your buttons with the other hand, or do you just kind of work it on its own? And he says, that's a good question. Pardon my pun with the answer. He says, on one hand, it would be good to use the other hand, or good to use the other hand to tap control for devices, But on the other hand, it would be good to be able to work it on its own. He says, also, maybe I can have it do both, which would be extremely handy.
That's right.
And that's just the only acceptable way to pun.
I think so.
Right there. That was
especially for this conversation.
Perfectly set up. He absolutely nailed it. By the way,
on the other hand,
this week I put Brian's initial answer up on the Facebook page so everybody can see it.
Cool.
And just in case anybody wants to reply to him or anything like that. Sean Michael says clean answers only. So
not necessarily.
We just laughed at him and he never came back with anything. So
what the hell? Leave us hanging like that.
Yeah. Dallas says a little spoon to go with my answer from last week.
I do remember his answer from last week.
You'll have to listen to episode 74 to see what Dallas's answer to that one was.
Yeah.
You could probably figure it out from context, though. So there you go. There's some fun answers with the robot hand. I want to get real weird with the question this week.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Where are we going?
We're going 3,000 years ago. 300 years ago? What did we decide on?
300 sounds good.
300. All right. So I saw this thing, and I thought it would be fun to get other people's opinions on it. So the scenario is you are instantly given immortality, but at the same time, you are thrown back. The thing I saw said 3,000 years in the past, but I thought maybe make it a little bit easier. 300 years. What do you do in that meantime? Now, you can't say no.
You have to do it.
You can't say I'm not doing it. I'm not. This is like the hiccups are $1 billion thing. You got one or the other.
You gotta figure something out.
So you can't say no. None of that. No cop outs. No, I was just whatever. So what are you doing in the meantime? But do you want to shorten it to 300 years, or do you want to just 300 years?
300 years.
Good, because I don't know how to do math with 3,000.
That was a long, long time ago. And I get you get immortality and all of that stuff, but between what was it, the Black Death and
well, you're immortal.
Guillotines and all of that, I just no.
So my whole thing is
300 years sounds enough.
300. What's that from now?
17.
Okay, but the guillotine was around until like 1970s.
I just feel like I just
and also,
feel safer.
Unless you screw around with the King of France, I think you're going to be okay. Or England or whatever. France, right? France.
I don't
guillotine.
know.
France, yeah. But I mean, what do you think you're going to be? High society where you're going to be getting your head cut off for war crimes and shit like that?
No, not for that. For something stupid like I stole an apple or looked at somebody the wrong way. I'm going to lose my head.
I don't think they're going to guillotine you for... Anyway,
I don't know.
Now look where we are.
Yeah.
So this is why you can't say no. So what are you doing?
Well, I'm going to hide, first of all. Cry
right.
for probably a couple years.
Obviously, you're not going to play the Game of Thrones in the...
No.
the interim time.
Absolutely not. I'm going to lay low. I think that's the smartest decision. When people start talking about coming to America, I'll probably get on one of those boats.
Oh, yeah? You're going to come over here and do the whole colonies thing? And
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I think I would, in that situation, I would try to time it out to be like, okay, let them finish this little skirmish with England.
Yeah.
And then when they're good and all getting, excited about that, then I'll hop over there and then invent the television
think
or
about
something.
it, you could just get on a different boat and end up somewhere else, like Bahamas,
You just
Jamaica.
start colonizing your own places.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
Well, I just want
Overlord Naomi.
No. Oh, listen, I don't want a lot. I just want a little hut on the beach. That's fine. Just give me that little space. I promise. I'll leave you alone. You leave me alone. Life is good.
I like the idea of that. But, I want to go and just like claim the hell out of somewhere that's super expensive right now. Like LA or, no, this is mine.
Yeah.
LA stands for Luke Austin, not
That's
Los Angeles.
right.
Get the hell out. That's mine. That beach is mine.
Yep.
All of them.
No.
So what are you doing in the meantime? And I mean, I think I would spend a lot of time learning as much as I could so that I
Would
could
be very smart to do that.
so that I could at least, survive on my own. I'm not against the whole hiding thing. Keeping a low profile.
Yeah.
Again, you don't need to have like political enemies and junk like that.
Again, you have immortality. So
Spend my life trying to figure out how to be the nicest guy ever so nobody wants to shoot me.
that's right.
And
Someone will still want to shoot you.
inevitably. That
Yeah.
guy's too damn nice.
Yep. Gone. See ya.
So, yeah, keeping the low profile I think is cool. And then, fast forward to now, and that whole city's just mine.
Yeah. And you're rich.
Yep.
And you're set.
How the hell is that guy own that city?
Yeah.
So let us know on the Facebook page. What are you doing? You got 300 years and immortality.
And be descriptive. Give us a story here.
You can't say no. You can be mean if you want to take over the Caribbean like Naomi and
I'm not
roll in
taking
there
over
with a fleet of ships. And
the whole Caribbean. I'm not even taking over a whole island. I'm asking for like a block, if that. Just give me a little bit of space.
Okay.
I'll trade you some berries or something. Whatever I got. Spices?
Spice. Well, hopefully by the time you get there, you'll have, saved up some money or something.
We'll see.
Yeah. All right. Luke and Naomi on air on Facebook or wherever you're listening, you can also answer the question too. Looking forward to some of these. Because
Yeah, I really am too. I want to hear like your plan. What are you going to do? You have 300 years to basically either build up an empire or lay low or, set your family up for their lives.
Yeah, right.
There's so much you could do. I
Crazy
want to know.
stuff. Yeah. Crazy questions. So looking forward to those answers next week. We'll read our favorites of those. All right. That takes care of, that. How about it? We've got a pretty good review this week. I don't remember having ever seen this movie. I'm pretty sure my dad had it on before. But before we get into all that, do you want to hit the fake button again?
No, you go ahead.
All right.
All yours.
I'm just going to do like that. Very,
Nice.
very
Beautiful.
Very subdued this week myself.
That's all right.
All right. It is time for Naomi's Under a Rock review of Good Morning Vietnam, 1988, Robin Williams. What is your full-on experience with Robin Williams?
Mrs. Doubtfire, the genie from
genie.
Aladdin, couple of other things. I know him well
You
enough.
say you're fairly well versed in
Yes,
Robin Williams
yes.
then. All right, cool. So I feel like my dad had this movie on a couple of times when I was a kid, but I don't remember it at all. So it was sort of like the first time watching for myself. But I'm really more interested in knowing your thoughts. Of course, that's why we're here.
Yeah.
So what you got?
I was actually, first of all, really disappointed that when you started the show that we were on, episode 75 and all of that you didn't start with like, good morning, it's Luke and Naomi, or do something crazy like that to kind of hint at what we would be getting at today.
Well, now so am I.
Missed opportunity.
That's
but-
okay.
All right, so Good Morning Vietnam.
Nobody can do that but Robin Williams.
No, as you could tell by how I just butchered that. We open on some radio announcer doing a terrible job.
Oh, my
This guy's got no personality, just reading announcements. He's messing up too, which, I mean, it happens to all of us, but it's just like so boring. And this is going on. It was just awful.
When he wasn't-
watching that.
When he wasn't making mistakes, it reminded me of like the bad TikTok voices.
Okay.
Or like the bad AI voices that you'll hear like doing the AI reading. It was just
it was just
horrible.
awful. So just no feeling whatsoever. It was just horrible. All right, Robin Williams is gonna have to take over this job and make life a little bit better in Vietnam, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what's gonna happen
Liven
here.
up the place.
All right, so it didn't take long for him to show up. Robin Williams, a.k.a. Adrian Cronauer. Gets off this plane, is picked up by this guy named Ed, who is the radio assistant and in charge of orientation, and he's like the company clerk and a whole bunch of other things. Takes Adrian to meet the people who also work at the station, as well as the other sergeants and all of that. Most of them seem kind of unimpressed with Adrian. It seems like they think that he'll be a distraction. 5:30 in the morning, Ed wakes up Adrian for his first on-air shift, which he's having in just a few minutes. Gives him the rundown of how everything works, where he gets his news, all of that kind of stuff. Adrian jumps in and boom, off he goes. He's goofy. He's making up characters. He's doing voices, making everyone laugh, and playing music that apparently he's not supposed to be playing.
Uh-oh, not on the safe list.
Yeah, not on the safe list.
That's what we would call it.
Watching this, I was like, yeah, go,
That was a lot of fun, yeah.
Damn safe list.
Even if I had seen it before, having seen it now, having worked in radio and stuff, there's a lot there. Like you were saying with him, the bad announcer at the beginning is just, goes against everything we're taught.
Yeah.
Just crazy.
After his air shift, there's a meeting where he's yelled at for making fun of the weather. Making fun of the weather.
Don't tell them it's hot here.
Yeah, because they don't know. They think it's actually nice.
That's
hilarious. Okay. And he got in trouble for playing music he's not supposed to. But the whole time he's just like cracking jokes and making everybody else in the meeting laugh. Adrian and Ed, they go out, they get a beer, but Adrian spots some girl that he thinks is attractive, runs out the door, tries talking to her and hitting on her. She's not interested. She tells him he's mistaken, takes off, and so he grabs a bike and basically follows her, and honestly, he's kind of slightly creepy about all this.
A little bit.
Just saying. Anyway, she ends up in a classroom learning English. Adrian just busts in. He bribes the teacher and takes over the class in an effort to talk to this girl. That's dedication.
That's
there.
effort, right?
But,
that's for real effort. Yeah.
What? That's insane. You don't even know her. You just looked at her. All right, so class is ending. The girl's brother stops Adrian from stopping and talking to her and is basically like, you Americans just want to sleep with the girl. It's different here. You can't do that. So Adrian actually ends up befriending her brother, Tuan. They get food together. Adrian takes him to this military bar. Some sergeants get pissed that he's there, call him some racist names, and of course a fight breaks out. Adrian tries to stand up for the kid, but it doesn't really work out. Adrian goes back to his on-air shift and back to teaching English, although he's teaching everyone just to swear, so he's not really the best teacher.
It's kind of like me with my siblings.
Yeah. Well, that's what it kind of seemed like. An older brother teaching the younger siblings to flip them the bird. And this lady spilled soup on you. What are you going to say to her? And it's so bad.
That's great.
Yeah. All right. So he's a bad teacher and all of that. Tuan stops him after class to let him know he's actually scheduled a date for Adrian and his sister, but warns him that he's not going to like this date. Apparently, that's because the whole family comes to chaperone. Yay! You get to meet everybody on the first date.
He says that, something along the lines of you're not going to like this.
Yeah.
It's just so funny.
So they end up going to the markets. The whole frickin' family on this date. And Adrian is giving them money so that they can go buy things. And he's trying to be friendly and all of that.
Oh, I thought he was trying to distract them so he could have some alone time?
Yeah. Oh, I didn't think so. I think he was, trying to be like, look, I'm a good person. They end up going to the movies. Seems like it's an okay time. So next we see Adrian getting ready for his on-air shift again. And so they censor a lot of his news throughout the whole movie. The news comes up on these printers and everything. He goes and grabs them, and two guys have to look over them and basically decide what he can and cannot read. And most of the time, he can't read anything of what's actually going on. And instead, the news stories he can read is boring crap that nobody cares about.
Yeah, it's all fluff and junk, basically.
So he ends up most of the time just making up jokey news headlines because the only news he's left with is garbage, which, his jokey news headlines are better anyways.
Yeah, they're funny. It's good stuff.
Once his shift is done, he tries to leave to get food, but I call it a sergeant. I don't know who it was. The guy makes him stay and edit a tape of Richard Nixon. So he does.
Oh, yeah, instead of letting him go eat after a long shift on air and all that stuff, which is more tiring than you might think it is.
Yeah.
So we kind of felt that for him,
yeah.
didn't we?
Yeah, I did feel bad. But I understood, go edit this. Okay.
You got it.
I will.
Cue the
and
malicious
he does.
compliance, right?
And he edits his voice into the tape as if he's doing an interview with Richard Nixon and basically asking some very inappropriate questions, some things about his junk. Yes, his junk. The sergeant and another guy are pretty pissed and bring it up to the captain or whoever the main guy is in charge.
Dickerson, right?
No, they bring it up to the other guy.
The general?
Yes.
The old guy?
Yes.
General.
They bring it up to him, and he's like, so what? It was funny. And he basically tells them that Adrian is keeping the troops happy, so just to freaking deal with it. Basically, mind your business.
Yeah.
A lot of people could learn that.
Over something so stupid. The guys like it. It's morale and all of that stuff. Like,
yeah.
Calm down.
In the meantime, Adrian is still at Jimmy's. That's the place where the officers always go for a beer. He's getting food there and having a beer when Tuan comes up and is like, my sister likes you. You have to leave now and meet her. So Adrian gets up to go, and as soon as he leaves Jimmy's, a bomb goes off. Adrian heads back to the radio station to do his evening shift, but grabs the news about the bomb going off without like those news officials or whoever censoring the story. So he gets stopped in the hallway, and he's told he's not able to read that story because it's unofficial. So he's like, fine, whatever. Yeah. I just got a little dizzy. I haven't been thinking straight. So he goes in to like do his on-air shift and everything. And you can tell that he's having a hard time. His head is not in it. He can't really be funny. He can't keep things going.
He's probably still in a little shock, right?
Well, of course. Then he goes on to say an unofficial bomb went off and tells the story by sprinkling in the word unofficial basically in every sentence.
That's right.
So the sergeants try to bust in, but he's got the door locked. When they finally get in, they cut power to him completely and take him off air, which was a really depressing scene to see.
That was a drag.
But it was like, not that we've ever gone through anything traumatic like that. We've never had a bomb go off and then had to be on air. But we have had things happen and then have to be on air. And it just, you can't think straight. And it's just, really felt for him. And he does it so well. Because, you could tell that he was trying so hard. He'd get into that character, but only for like 3 seconds. And then couldn't do it,
He just couldn't sustain the goofiness because he was so...
shook.
Yeah. Shook. That's perfect. I like it.
All right. So they took him off air. He gets suspended, and Hauk ends up taking over. Oh my God, this guy.
So this guy I only know as one of the buddies from the Billy Crystal movies. What the hell are those movies called? Everybody knows what I'm talking about, right? Like the one where they go out west for his birth. City Slickers.
Okay.
I can't believe I couldn't remember City Slickers. But like he's like one of his buddies in City Slickers. And to see him in this is like the weirdest thing.
And he's so bad.
Oh God, it's amazing.
He's so bad.
Some
and
of the
worst
funniest parts of the movie, this guy.
No, the worst part is he thinks he's funny. And that makes it so bad. And then like he gets done and he's like, you guys owe me an apology. And it's like, no, they don't.
He's using the horn and stuff like that.
No, they don't.
That was fantastic.
Anyway, everyone hates him. He's getting so much hate mail. Everyone is calling. They want Adrian back.
That's right.
Adrian goes to visit Tuan in his sister's village. That's when Tuan's sister tells Adrian that she doesn't want to be with him and she doesn't even want to be friends with him. So he's feeling pretty crappy between, hey, this girl doesn't actually like you and you just got suspended and, you're in a foreign country and this is your life now. Like,
right.
That kind of sucks.
Yep.
Ed finds Adrian and tells him that he's got his on-air shift back. He's been reinstated, but Adrian actually isn't interested at the time. He says, I can't say what I want. I can't do what I want to do. I'm not doing it. And storms off. Goes to some restaurant for lunch. And then Ed finds Adrian there, begs him to come back. He tells him that all these men are counting on him. Adrian's like, I got to go. I'm late for class, that English class where he's teaching everyone to flick people off and all of that. So Ed offers to give him a ride. While they're stuck in traffic, they come up to a whole bunch of military trucks where Ed announces that Adrian is in the vehicle. And everyone's like, yeah, no freaking way. Do the whole good morning Vietnam thing. The sign on that he always does. So he does it. And everyone can't believe it. And they're cheering and all of that. He starts doing his comedy. he entertains the troops and basically gets to see firsthand how much he actually means to these people. As they're taking off, he tells them all to be careful. Adrian goes back on the airways, gives a couple shout outs to some of the guys that he met while waiting in traffic, and all of that. It was a nice, turnaround in the story.
Yeah, it was great.
And then we actually had
Great
talked
to see the purpose,
Yeah. And we actually had talked about this while this happened, and Luke will always say we usually don't talk during the movie.
Right.
But this specific scene is very haunting. It's when Louis Armstrong's What a Wonderful World is playing, and we get a montage of bombs going off and people fighting, brutality, blood, all of that.
Yeah, the battle, yeah.
Very, very haunting. Crazy choice for the director, but very well done.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right, so someone has this idea that Adrian should go interview some of the men in the field. I don't know whose idea it was. I don't know if it was Adrian's idea to go over there and talk to the troops that he had talked to like he did when they were stuck in traffic.
Yeah, field interviews and all that. It wasn't clear to me. I don't know if I missed it or what.
I feel like it was like Hulk or one of them that, don't like him.
Yeah.
I feel like they were trying to get him out to get him killed.
Hulk or Dickerson, because then Dickerson sort of orchestrated him, driving into enemy territory.
Yes. So I don't know how
if
that was
somebody
set
knows
up.
that, let us know, because we rented the movie and I don't think we have access to it anymore.
And I'm not paying for it again. Too cheap for that. Anyways, there is the idea for Adrian to go interview some men on the field. And so I don't think it had to be Hulk, because he actually seemed against it at first. But then they find out that the only way to get the soldiers would be this one very dangerous route. So they issue him a 24-hour pass, probably hoping that he's going to die while on this route. Pretty crazy. Kind of scary to think that someone would have that ability or control to do that to somebody.
Right.
Anyway, it looks like Adrian and Ed head down this specific route. Sure enough, I don't know if they got shot at or they hit like a landmine. Something takes out the back of their vehicle. They lose control and they crash. They have to leave the vehicle before the enemy sees them. So they're wandering around basically in the jungle now.
Yep. Crawling around through the bush, yeah.
In enemy territory.
That's right. Crazy, scary.
So then we see Tuan getting upset because Adrian doesn't show up for class, then finds out that he didn't show up for work. So then they find out about his assignment to go see the troops and found out what route he was on. So Tuan gets a vehicle, drives out to look for him and Ed, and luckily he finds them. By the way, I think Dickerson, that sergeant officer.
Sergeant Major, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, Dickerson.
Who Hulk would report to. Those two that were always against Adrian. Anyways, the actor that plays Dickerson, I feel had to be like so underrated or a little unappreciated for this part, because the guy really does nail it.
He did.
The writing is well. The lines he delivers are so well. He's such like a hard ass and really pulls off this straight, I don't have time for your shenanigans, army kind of presence, and if you disobey me, this is nothing about feelings. I'm going to ruin your life.
Yeah.
That's it. Just kind of cold and whatever. So every time I saw him on the screen, I was very entertained by him. I thought he did just such a well job. It was awesome. He must have said like some lines at that point, and that's why I ended up putting that in there.
Nice.
Anyway, Adrian is called into Dickerson's office, who says he's got to pack his bags. He's out of here because his friend Tuan is actually a terrorist. He makes some really good, compelling arguments, but I don't believe it. Tuan can't be a terrorist. I think he's just doing this to, make the situation even worse. I mean, besides, he's just a kid.
Right.
And then I wrote, oh no, Tuan is a terrorist.
I was wondering what you thought at that point, because, that's kind of a thing. That was a total thing in Vietnam. And so, I mean, I've seen that in so many, not so many, but I've seen that in all kinds of like different Vietnam TV shows.
It was really sad.
It is, yeah.
You know, because at first I'm like, no, they're just, again, they don't like him. They want to get him kicked off this base, reassigned or whatever. So they're going to make up this crap. So it seems like it. But then we find out, no, it actually is true. So Adrian stopped by the school and sees the girl that he used to like, Twan's sister, and is like, you have to take me to him. You have to take me to your brother. The army knows he's a terrorist. When they see him, they're going to kill him. You know, and you know, she needs a little convincing, but finally agrees. They drive to where he's at. Adrian's shouting out his terrorist name, the Fanducto or something like that. Yeah. And he takes off running. Twan eventually loses him in like this corner neighborhood area where there's not really an exit. So Twan is like hiding somewhere, but Adrian just doesn't know where. And Adrian starts yelling, you know, you were my friend and I trusted you. You trusted me, all of that kind of stuff. And Twan comes out and he's basically saying like, listen, my mom was killed. My brother, he was only like 28 or something like that. He was killed. His neighbors, everyone is dying. And he's basically saying, I'm not the enemy, you are.
Yeah.
And it's a really sad scene, you know? Yeah. When little gut-wrenching there because it's, you know, they were friends. So before Adrian gets on his plane, he's been reassigned, all of that. He makes a stop to finally teach that class that he was teaching all the terrible things to how to play softball, which is a really cute scene and a good way to leave the area compared to the sadness from the day before with Twan.
Yeah, right.
So they do that. You have a nice little like happy scene where people are laughing, playing games, joking, all of that kind of stuff. Adrian is getting ready to get on the plane. He gives Ed a tape to play on air. It's Adrian's sign off. And it starts with his recognizable, you know, good morning, Vietnam, but he does goodbye, Vietnam. And that's it.
Roll
that's
credits.
the end. Yep.
All right. Good morning, Vietnam.
Yeah, I was only going to yell that once. It was not happening again.
You killed it, though.
Good,
you know, you put everything into it.
I did. If you're going to go for it, you got to go all out.
I think maybe that's what we'll title this episode. Naomi screams, good morning, Vietnam.
You got to wait till the end to hear it, though, you know? Yes.
All right. So, well, thank you for watching it.
Of course.
Of course. Number one, our review questions. If you are new to Luke and Naomi on air, we ask Naomi the same questions for every movie. Most of the time, they fit very well. Number one, always, did you like it?
I did.
All right. What did you know about it going in?
Robin Williams was in it, and he would be in Vietnam doing a radio show.
And probably his famous line.
Well, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Only because of everywhere else that I've heard that.
What were your thoughts going in?
Well, it was going to have a little bit to deal with radio, so I knew I was going to enjoy it. And nothing really else.
It was kind of the radio angle you wanted to go.
Yeah.
And the whole disc jockey radio host sort of
and
thing.
It's Robin Williams.
And Robin Williams.
Yeah.
All right. What surprised you?
I don't know if anything. Well, maybe, you know, some of those moments that were a little bit more heartfelt.
The heavier moments?
Yeah, I think that really surprised me because I looked at this as just full-on comedy. I know you're talking about the Vietnam War. That's not funny. But you're talking about Robin Williams doing an air show and doing it as a comedian.
Yeah.
But the moments like when he is doing his comedy and they're stuck in traffic and you get to see how much he actually meant to everybody. The moment when he's with Twan and Twan is telling him, you are the enemy, not me.
Yeah.
Those moments, I think it like hit a little bit harder than I thought a movie like this was going to.
All right. Well, that's a perfect lead into the next question. Would you have liked it more or less if you saw it when you were younger?
Huh.
I see. Yeah. I think I know why you're looking at me that way, because now there's the early days of your radio career, which you probably would have liked it maybe more than right now. You know, as you were new, getting into it.
Yeah, probably.
Wide-eyed, as they say.
Yes. Probably a little bit of that. There was a moment of, when he realizes how much he meant to all those troops and everything, and was like, and goes back to radio, watching that. And I'm not saying that like I'm anything like Robin Williams or anything, but seeing that made me go, oh man, when we stopped doing radio together, like I feel like we've let people down.
Aww.
It hurt a little bit. And I was like, to have a moment like that where if you would have actually gotten to see your audience, might have changed things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
So a little bit of that.
Yeah, I can definitely see how you feel about that.
Yeah.
And then if you saw it maybe when you were 11 or 15.
I think I would, because I would still be interested in radio. I was interested in radio for a long time.
All right.
I think I still would have enjoyed the storyline and all of that kind of
And
stuff.
just keyed in more on probably the radio parts.
Yeah, instead of anything else.
I love seeing the old school station.
Yes.
The actual spinning of the discs.
Yep.
Which I'm glad we don't have to do now, because getting up and running around like that and going, oh my God, that's right, this song's about to end.
Yeah.
If it's a new song, you don't really realize, you do a lot of things by feel. And if you know a song and you're talking and you can feel that song ending.
Yeah.
Well, with the records now, if you don't have one queued up after that, you are just absolutely screwed for
You're
however
screwed.
long.
Yeah.
And dead air. Ugh. Anyway, next question. What was your favorite part?
Favorite part, probably him doing the comedy.
Him talking to the truckfuls of dudes.
Yeah, in traffic. Again, it's so well done because he starts with like, just leave me alone, before Ed even announces like who's in the vehicle with him. And it's just basically like, don't do this, you're being a jerk. And then as it's unfolding and he gets that realization.
He's trying to get out of it too. He's like, oh guys, I don't want to do the radio thing.
Yeah.
And,
and then as he starts doing it, and again, he gets to see firsthand how much he meant to those people. And like, you can tell that like his drive comes back and all of that, like, hey, I'm going to get back on air. I'm going to do an awesome job. All of that kind of stuff comes back. And like, that moment in the movie is just phenomenal.
Yeah, it is. It's got to be up there for the best parts of the movie.
And again, not gonna lie, the guy who plays Dickerson just
JT
nailed
Walsh.
it.
JT Walsh is his name.
It was
By the
great.
way. He's in like Needful Things, A Few Good Men. If you want to see him do more military junk.
Okay.
And I know he's in Pleasantville as well. He plays Bob in Pleasantville. If anybody's familiar with that one. Let's see here. What was your least favorite part?
Finding out that Twan was a terrorist.
Yeah, I guess so.
And then Hulk's radio show, because that was just freaking stupid.
Hulk's radio show is one of my favorite parts because it's hilarious.
It's so cringy.
And then he's just so smug when he's like, "You owe me an apology," and everybody's like, "No,
no, we don't."
It's just great.
Like, how can you be that unself-aware?
Yeah, absolutely.
Ugh.
Would you recommend it to someone else who hasn't seen it?
Absolutely.
You gonna watch it again?
Yeah, I would watch it again.
Would you stop and watch it if it's on TV?
Possibly. Yeah.
Are you happy you watched it?
Of course.
All right. Anything else about Good Morning Vietnam you want to throw in? Anything we missed? Anything we skipped over?
It made me really miss radio. It made me miss being in the radio station. It made me miss when you get pulled into a meeting because you said something or did something that you probably shouldn't have, but at the time it felt like a good idea. Yeah, it made me miss a lot of those moments.
We need to get those subscribers and followers on YouTube up so we can go live.
That's right.
So Naomi can remember what it's like a little bit.
Yeah, and I kind of just want to go to work with you for the day and like just hang out in an actual studio. Our studio is our second bedroom, so there's like a bookshelf, there's a spot for a bed. It's not a studio.
I mean, I've been in studios that were, more bedroomy than this.
I'm just saying, I need to sit behind like, put me in an actual
take your kid
studio.
To work day.
Yeah,
we will sneak you in.
Yeah,
they all.
Let me go for that because I just need that space again, even if it's just for like 20 minutes.
Well, we'll get that done for you. How
Okay,
about that?
perfect,
All
perfect.
right. So, well, thank you again for watching Good Morning Vietnam and taking the notes and doing all the paying attention and all of that stuff. We appreciate it because it's fun to listen to you watch a movie that you've never seen before that so many people have. Again, if you're new to Luke and Naomi on air, especially the review part, it's, the idea is if you've seen it before, watch it again through Naomi's eyes. So if you haven't seen it, then, maybe you get a nice little review, find out if you should watch it.
Yeah. And this one, I'll say, if you haven't seen it, absolutely watch it. Even if, you're not interested in radio or anything like that. It's Robin Williams, and it's a cute story,
Definitely.
know? I hate to say cute when you're talking about war and all of that, but the actual storyline is good. Cute was a bad word.
For the better part of Cronauer's, character arc and story, it was kind of cute, I get it. I get what you mean. I'm here for you.
All right, it's time for Thought of the Day.
Thought of the day, thought of the day. It's your thought of the day, thought of the day.
All right, you're not phobic if your fear is rational.
Like what? Buttons?
Dying?
Well,
Do you ever think about dying? By the way, that is a Barbie movie joke, not me being dark.
Existential, yeah.
Yes. Not having a crisis over here.
The Barbie movie. Man, the more that sits, the funnier that gets to me, too.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. All right, you going to leave us with a laugh?
I am going to do my best.
Your jokes have been terrible lately.
They're dad jokes.
They've been worse than dad jokes. They're like great-great-grandfather jokes.
The other day, Naomi hit me with a baguette. I told her she was going to jail for assault with a deadly weapon.
Like that. That's a great-great-grandfather joke. That's terrible.
I put up a high voltage electric fence around my property over the weekend. My neighbor is dead against it.
Okay.
The breath. The breath.
Remember when you used to get booed?
Yes.
That's going to start again.
I recently joined a nudist colony. The first few days were the hardest.
Boo.
I lost my wife's audiobook, and now I'll never hear the end of it. Got her.
That was...
That one? That one? And you
Shut
made
up.
fun of me?
Shut up.
All right, one more. I didn't know Sylvester Stallone was on his third marriage. I guess his first one was Rocky, and his second one was Rocky 2.
That's not even funny.
I love it. I love
my gosh.
It. All right. Thanks for hanging out for another episode of Luke and Naomi on air. We'll be back with episode 76 next week.
Moving right along.
Moving right along, getting closer to triple digits.
We got to do something special for 100.
I think the specialist thing we're going to do for 100 is stop putting the number in front of the title. I don't know. Unless you
don't want to do
planned.
like 101 or 102, 103. You don't want to keep going with that?
No, we'll just roll the counter over.
Ooh.
But we got a couple more episodes to get through before we
make those decisions.
Start, yeah, you know what I mean.
Still, we got to do something big.
So
for
we
100.
are not sure what movie we're going to do next episode.
We're going to skip a whole bunch of episodes. Next week is 92.
That's right. We're not sure what episode it'll be. 4.
Surprise.
It's a redo.
Yeah.
All right. I do have another question before we wrap things up.
Okay.
We have talked about Robin Hood. Naomi isn't familiar with. I mean, you know the basic story of Robin Hood.
The guy robs the rich, steals from the rich, gives to the poor.
Yes. And can you name anybody in the Robin Hood, lexicon?
Robin Hood.
All right. So there we are with Robin Hood and Naomi Lynn in 2024. So we got to figure out how to watch Robin Hood with Naomi. Now the question is, do we go Disney's Robin Hood from back in the day, Robin Hood and Little John walking through the forest, or do we go Kevin Costner Robin Hood, where my man doesn't even try to have a British accent? But also that's got Morgan Freeman in it. I love the Kevin Costner one, but it's because I was like 10.
This is not my choice to make.
It is absolutely not your choice. So that is the choice to everybody. You can, be looking for that answer, or if I forget to put it up and you're listening to this and want to weigh in on it,
comment it somewhere. There's
Let
plenty
us
of
know.
places.
I'm going to try to get it up on the interwebs, though. Luke and Naomi on air everywhere, of course. But yeah, which one? Should we go Kevin Costner, and these are the options. Don't throw any other ones at me because that's confusing. Kevin Costner or the Disney cartoon.
All right.
I'm leaning towards the Disney cartoon. I just want to throw that out there. So
Okay.
there we go. That's the question. All right. That's going to do it for episode 75. Until next time, have some fun this week and be excellent to each other.
Love you. Bye.